So, Resident Evil 4 Remake has been out for a month, and yeah, I've been playing it. I've gotten every achievement, unlocked all the bonuses, and absolutely demolished Mercenaries mode. I have 67.2 hours played at the time of this recording, so I thought, why not make another video on Resident Evil 4 Remake? Last time I made a video for this game was 7 months, oh Jesus. Anyway, but that video was discussing my opinions on the then recent leaks that came out at that time and my worries for the game as a whole. I'm happy to say that none of those leaks were true and my worries were all for naught. So this game has been getting praised left, right, and center. However, it is not perfect. It has problems. Granted, not many, but they are definitely there. They aren't game-breaking. They are just little problems here and there that arise when you play the game multiple times. And honestly, one of them is just literally a personal preference. Now, before I begin, if you like this video, please chuck me a like and a subscribe. These videos are really fun to do, and if people enjoy them, then that's even better. Alright, so my first problem with the Resident Evil 4 remake is more of a PC-centric one. Performance can be kind of bad. Now, don't get me wrong, this game is very well optimized. You can have decade-old hardware and get this game to run at 60 FPS, but that actually isn't the issue, believe it or not. The issue is that in the Village Siege, the Village at Night, and the Cabin Defense, they all run incredibly poorly. Like, this isn't just a me issue, and granted, if you have an RTX 4000 card, then you're most likely not having these issues. But these sections demolish your frame rate. On my rig at 1440p, I can get an average of 120 FPS in most sections of the game. However, in these sections, that just isn't the case. The village fight will drop my frame rate to under 60 FPS sometimes, but when it's raining and at night, when you come back with Ashley, this section will never go above 60 FPS for me, and I have no idea why. I didn't make this game, so I have no idea why this part in particular kills the frame rate. Resident Evil Village on my machine, even with ray tracing on, runs perfectly fine, even in similar looking areas. So it's really odd, and I have no idea how you'd fix this. Maybe a patch down the line can help, but I have no idea. Also for PC, ray tracing just isn't worth it, man. It destroys performance for very minimal visual gain, and if you go over your VRAM limit with RTX on, the game just outright crashes. Like, for real. Another issue that I have is stun locking. Now, this only really occurred to me when I played the game on professional because of the difficulty's increased damage and speed of the enemies, but one-hit combos are very prevalent. This difficulty can literally just decide that you've had enough and it's time to die. This mostly occurs in the village since you have such a small health pool at the start of the game, and it can definitely put you off playing it, honestly. Especially when you're going for S+, because you have to rush, and the faster you're going, the more enemies you're leaving alive, which means if they ever corner you, you're outright dead. Professional mode as a whole is outright brutal anyway, with the removal of checkpoints, autosaves, and the only way to parry being the perfect parry. So having the game just kind of kill you randomly sometimes can feel very cheap. Now, this is my personal preference issue that I was talking about earlier. It's the bosses. Oh, lordy, I do not like Salazar or Sadler. Like, I legitimately think they are overtuned. Granted, the original Resident Evil 4's bosses were only ever really bullet sponges that weren't much harder than the base game, but I think Capcom took that on board a little too much with Salazar and Sadler. Salazar never sits still, and his vomit moves are extremely damaging, not to mention his obnoxious landmines that he lays everywhere. And the man's fast, and you can only damage him through hitting his human body, but that's hard to do when he just moves and attacks constantly. Now, I know there's strategies for him, and I know you can kill him with the golden eggs, but on your first playthrough, in my opinion, he is just a massive roadblock. Now, I hate Sadler's boss fight, although to a somewhat lesser degree. He has range attacks as well that suck and also do too much damage, but they can be learned and they can be dodged. No, my main issue with him is the fucking Navistadors that he summons into the fight. Now, say it with me. Dealing with normal enemies as well as a boss is just not fun. I will stand my ground on this until the day I die. You can't ignore them or they'll attack you. You can't focus on them too much or Sadler will destroy you. It's obnoxious and a lazy way to make you fight harder. I don't fight him normally anymore. I just rocket him. I never do that in these games, but man, I just can't stand the fight. Now for something else. The Resident Evil 4 charm just isn't there. Resident Evil 4, the original one, didn't take itself seriously and it worked. The characters and the dialogue was silly, and Leon's constant banter with the main villains was entertaining, but this remake is a lot darker in tone and plays much of the events with a straight face. But honestly, I don't mind the tone. I really like the story now, especially with how much they fleshed it out and added new backstory to Luis and the Las Plagas. The jokes that Leon makes are there, albeit less of them. The playful banter between him and Luis is fun, but the game doesn't feel like the original. This Resident Evil 4 remake is its own beast, and I don't mind it personally, but I do see how people don't like that. Now, for minor things, U3 was just outright cut. Like, I immediately noticed this. This game barely cut anything, and if it did, most of the time this content that was cut was reincorporated in a different way, such as JJ, who was made into another Brute variant. Surely they had enough time to factor him in, right? I mean, to be fair, I don't like the boss anyway, and he has no real relevance to the plot, but outright removing him, it seems really puzzling. So where did the second Verdugo go? There were two of them. One of them chases you in the sewers, and you outright kill him, and the second one disappears completely. He never appears again. That omission was straight weird, but I have a feeling that he gets killed in Ada's Separate Ways campaign, the one that will be coming out soon as DLC. Speaking of which, I didn't like Ada's voice. I thought the performance was a little flat, but I did get used to it. Unfortunately, saying that is a very controversial statement because there was a select few Resident Evil fans that decided to abuse the voice actress online to the point where she deleted her Instagram posts. Now, I hate to bring this stuff up in videos, but if you are one of those people that did that, then you are a disgusting human being and you do not belong in the fandom. I hate to be associated with people like you. But if you didn't do that, then ignore everything I just said. Also, I don't like Krause's voice. I feel like he's trying too hard to sound tough, but again, I got used to it and it has its own charm. So, with all of these little minor nitpicky problems as they are, is this game a true 10 out of 10? Look, of course it is. At least for me. The game well and truly deserves all the praise it's been getting and is a true master in its class. My minor gripes with the game does not take away from the sheer amount of fun that I had with it. But is it better than the original Resident Evil 4? That I can't answer. I believe they are both equal and valid arguments can be made for both sides. This game is definitely Game of the Year. So, I know you're probably thinking, wow, this was just a video full of nitpicks, and you are correct. It is a video full of nitpicks, and I am not going to hide the fact that it is. But if you've made it this far and you enjoyed it, I appreciate you very much, and I'll be back with another video next time. Thank you, and goodbye.